Hey, I want to share some tips with you I've learned about this product here. This is basically an infinitely adjustable hose, and it was developed originally to direct cooling or lubricating oils or cutting oils onto a bit in a machine shop or in a factory. It also can direct compressed air in a fan pattern. They have different nozzles that you snap on there, and on the back they have different fittings that you can put different pumps and things, hook them up. And that's originally what the product was intended for, but it's sort of taken on a life of its own, and people have found that it's very useful to have something that you can position infinitely and lightweight objects, and it'll stay. And of course, the bigger it is, the more weight it can hold. This one's a 3/4 inch, and it's a lot beefier. They're also made of different materials depending on what it's supposed to resist. If it's a cutting oil or a lubricating oil or water or air, they make them out of Delrin and other plastics. But I've actually never used this product in the way it was intended. I've never actually used it to direct a cooling oil onto a cutting bit or air to cool something off. But not to say I won't one day, but I just haven't had to yet. But I have used it for a lot of other things. In fact, I use this every day on a tripod. I'll show you that too, that I use a small piece of this on a tripod. And I've also made other things with it here. This holds an iPhone, and it has a clamp, or I've got another one that holds a light. This one here holds a flashlight it's got a 3D printed holder on it. Holds my flashlights, and it's that beefy 3/4. So you can put a light wherever you want it. But I've struggled to find a way to mechanically connect to this, and I've tried different things, and they work, but I'm not real happy with them. It usually involves a urethane adhesive and a 24-hour cure period. And I've tried drilling holes in it and things like that. It weakens it. And so I've come up with a pretty neat way to connect into it, and I want to share that with you right now. I'll show you what it's called. I'm using these things called rubber well nuts. And basically it's a kind of like a rubber stopper, but it's got a threaded brass insert that goes in about 1/3 of the way. And I first ran across these in the automotive industry, and these are actually used to attach things to a car body of sheet metal, where it's on the exterior of the car, and you can achieve a weather tight or a watertight seal using this rubber well nut. And the way it works is it's got this flange here. You push it into the sheet metal till the bottom's out on the flange, and then when you thread something in, this is the outside here, you thread it in from this side and all the way till it seats into the brass here. And then when it pulls, when it starts to tighten, it compresses this area right in here, which is just an open void, and it makes the rubber swell. And so what I do, I found that this is very useful for connecting into these little sections here. And what I do is try to get the swelling section to be right at the smallest ID, the inside diameter of this part. And I'll show you how I do that. And let's start here with a washer. And the washer is actually going to seat on the bottom like that. And what I also like to do is I select a nut. In this case, it's going on this side. And I try to find a nut that fits inside and takes away a lot of the play to kind of center it in there. So I'm going to slide a nut on there. And then I'll use a washer to isolate and allow it to spin. And then I'll put a rubber well nut on here. And I want the threads of the well nut, to come all the way and to get full engagement. And then I start tightening this side here. And so this is set up to go. And now what I'm going to do is go ahead and insert it into this end here. And you can see that right in this area here is in the small inside diameter of this part. And so when this swells, it's going to be gripping in the smallest part there. So I'll pop that in place there and just give it about 2 turns. And at this point, I'm just holding on to the outside of this piece. The rubber's gripping on the inside, and it's very tight. It's a stronger connection than the rest of the pieces. And so I'll do the other on the other side here. Again, I'll start with a washer that's going to sit with the base here, and I've selected a larger nut that fits in this larger size and kind of centers it. And then in this case, I'm going to use 2 washers because I want to get the expanding part of this well nut in the right spot. And I'll show you now. So I've got the threaded rod all the way through. I have full engagement. And so now I can put that in. You can see if I hold it up like this, you can see that this area here is where it's going to expand, and that corresponds with the smallest ID of the part. Again, that's the view inside. So it has like a conformal thickness all the way through. And so I can put these 2 pieces together and then give it about 2 turns. And it's stuck on there pretty good. So now with this assembly here, I can pretty much bolt to it or connect to it mechanically in any number of ways. And I can even use a threaded coupler here if I wanted to add more, another bolt to the end of it. But normally I would probably bolt this to some surface or something like that. But the cool thing is that it's not permanent. You can just simply take the tension off, but with 2 turns, and it comes right out and allows you to add more pieces or whatever. Really cool. I really am happy that I've thought of that. And I want to also show you, here's a piece of this here. It's pretty easy to remove these parts here, these little sections. It's a little harder to get them to go back together. And like I said, they make a tool that does it, but I can do it in a vise. But you simply just pop it right out there, and you can get them out of there. Putting them back in there is more of a challenge. They make a tool that squeezes between these 2. It holds here, and then it holds there, and you squeeze it, and it pops them together. But I can just put it on a vise and get it back in there. But it's a little hard to do just by hand. And I wouldn't want to, I might hurt myself if I try to do it. But anyway, I just wanted to share this technique I learned about how to interface with this Snap-Loc or Loc Line. It's really handy material to have around. You can see it gives you a ways to hold things that you want. And here again is the phone holder that I made a long time ago. And this one's got urethane on it to connect. This is actually a plumbing fitting, and it has urethane adhesive to connect it to this. And I don't know how long it would hold up, but it's held up a few years. But I really like this method here because it's removable and repeatable. And I like the well nuts. Once I discovered those, I just decided to have a box of those. They're so cool to have around when you need to connect something to sheet metal. So I hope you enjoyed the video, and good luck with your projects.